whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Hello, and welcome once again to Schools with Heart. I'm Olivia LaField, and today's episode will conclude our focus on growth mindset by introducing a new component of my SEL curriculum, grit. Unlike most of the additions to the school that Love built, I cannot recall a particular story that inspired me to create an entire curriculum around the concept of grit. I do recall, however, that one day, about 6 years ago, the rhyme, "Kids with grit don't quit," just burst into my mind. At the time, I was working with a class of second graders and my beloved partner, Adam Grooms. Right away, I created a poster that included the rhyme as well as a definition of grit, which the kids memorized quickly. Grit is the ability to passionately pursue a goal for an extended period of time despite adversity and failure. Kids with grit don't quit. Yes, that is a very advanced definition for 7-year-olds, but I wisely divided it into 3 phases. 1, grit is the ability to 1, passionately pursue a goal, 2, for an extended period of time, 3, despite adversity and failure. There were only 4 words that would need an explanation for those 7-year-olds. Passionately pursue despite adversity. I knew our kids could do it. I don't think it can be said too often that our expectations of our students, generally speaking, are much too low. I believe that the dumbing down of American students is more than a cliche, is a pandemic of epidemic proportions. I should say that again. How can our students rise to attain their full academic potential unless we offer them a challenging curriculum to which they must effortfully strive? I believe strongly that many teachers unwittingly underestimate their students' capabilities. Is it any wonder that boredom rather than flashes of brilliance dominates our classrooms? As far as I can recall, our focus on grit ended with a poster 6 years ago, a discussion and memorization. But last spring, the 2nd year at my current assignment, I reintroduced grit, determined to expand the focus with a broadly extended curriculum. I already had my poster and the catchy rhyme, so it was a cinch to make posters for every classroom. Next came the discussion of the definition, which I kept word for word, emphasizing the 4 unfamiliar words. Following came the most important new addition. Every student from 2nd grade to 8th grade, as well as every adult on staff, secretaries, custodians, you name it, would pick a grit goal of their own that would somehow make them a better person or make the world a better place for someone in their life. It would have to be a real challenge that meant a lot to them, and that it would have to take time to accomplish, at least a few months. The discussions surrounding their choices brought many tears of pride. Overwhelmingly, my students were thinking of family members who they somehow mistreated or ignored. I will never forget Richard, a precious 2nd grader who truthfully shared that he wasn't nice to his grandfather, and so his grit goal was to be a better grandson. The little ones needed help on how to achieve their grit goals, so we took time to give them ideas. The older kids, they knew instinctively what they needed to do. Next, I gave everyone a form. And I took all of the completed forms and created a bulletin board for the hallway. Once I got the bulletin board up in the hall, I shared it with everyone on staff. I explained the definition of grit, gave them a blue form, and asked them to decide on their own grit goal, which I then posted along with the kids. Equally important, I asked them to become familiar. This is the most important part. I asked them to become familiar with the kids' goals so that they could ask them personally about their progress. They could stop them in the hall and talk to them. I especially asked our principal to call kids to his office for a positive conference about their goals. Think of that. A principal connecting with kids on a personal level to learn what positive goals his or her kids are striving to achieve. You can be sure that those kids walked out of his office knowing that they're loved by their principal. Another fun grit activity that I personally had never done before was inviting each class to share their grit goals with other classes. I wish I could show you a video of the little second graders walking single file like little soldiers into the 8th grade classroom, and very boldly, one at a time, stepping forward and sharing their grit goal. The big kids, as the little ones call them, enthusiastically burst into applause as the little ones proudly burst into smiles. Everyone had a chance to share with another class, and by the time we finished, everyone had heard each other's grit goals. It was a tremendous success that we will definitely repeat every year. The last assignment in my grit curriculum was an interview assignment for the 5th through 8th graders. The idea was for them to ask an older family member or a friend about a goal that they had worked very hard to achieve. They took notes, which they later formed into a finished product, and the last step was to share the interview with the class in an oral presentation. My favorite presentations were given by the students who had interviewed our principal. It was another wonderful opportunity for him to create positive relationships with his kids. I'm believing that many administrators will watch these videos in the months and years to come. And my greatest desire is for them to remember that no matter how busy they get with administrative duties, their number one priority must be that of developing those precious personal relationships. Something, sadly, for which very few ever find the time or inclination. At the beginning of each new year, I will remove the goals from the hall bulletin board from the prior year and pass them out to my students. At that time, students will share their progress on last year's goal, and if they successfully completed that goal, they will then create a new grit goal. I'll update the original bulletin board in the hall with the New Year's goals. I'm thinking that this year I'd like to include grit victories into our end of the year month character assemblies. Possibly one student from each grade could line up at the mic and share quickly. That would keep grit in the spotlight all year long. My most up-to-the-minute grit idea is a grit award to the graduating 8th grader who didn't necessarily have the highest GPA, but who worked hard and achieved worthy grit goals throughout the years. I simply cannot overstate how exciting it is to keep enhancing my SEL curriculum with fresh new ideas. It's all about good, better, best. At the very last minute before this book went to publishment, I decided to include in the back of it some growth mindset worksheets and a list of excellent videos, growth mindset YouTube videos. I've created several that I haven't seen anywhere else. I'm hoping that you already bought all 3 of my books, and I'm happy to announce today that my Spanish translator is almost finished, and my goal is that by Christmas we'll have The School That Love Built available in Espanol. Yay! I'm so excited. Until next time, God bless you all, and God bless our beloved United States of America.